I mean, we always thought it was a good plan to have kids really young. We both agreed didn't want to be this dad that, couldn't kind of take kids racing around the track or go fishing or do whatever with them. I wanted to be an active participant in their lives, and we've had an amazing time, and we're still very, very close. But the downside to having them young is that they spread their wings quite young as well, and they're I'll never forget sitting across each other, eating our dinner, and I said to my wife, we've been sitting here for 20 minutes and we haven't actually said anything.
Voluntarily said you happily married with 2 kids. How did you meet Mandy?
Mandy's dad kind of got involved in building a hotel down there, and this wild child, Mandy, came down from Joburg, a fast-paced young lady at the time, and obviously I was quite smitten as this little country bumpkin. This lady knew all the latest vibes, all the best music, all the best places to go and party. So because your average M5 tire has got over 300 different ingredients in it, and the G-forces that happen to a tire when you're just doing 30 k's an hour. You do 210, 240 kilometers an hour on a track, just in case anyone was wondering whether or not I was doing that on a public road, but no. So that's how they kind of match it up. So some manufacturers and some vehicles will specify particular vehicles for their tires for their vehicles. So a BMW Mercedes will have like an MO tire, an Audi will have an AO, a Volvo is a VO, Porsche is an NO, and so on. Look, I think it's really important for people's mental health to be able to clock off. It's one of the reasons I was interested to come and have a chat. Kind of what happens to people off the clock. I'm very active, so I like outdoor stuff. I do a bit of running, none of it competitively, just for my own sanity. And for sure, as you would imagine, someone in the auto industry, there's got to be something that kind of attracts you. So when I was younger, I used to really enjoy all the track days. Had some awesome experiences, with going to many Grand Prix. I'm a big Grand Prix fan. World Rally Championships a couple of times. So I've been spoilt in that way. Because
in the space, I guess.
Because we're in that space, and some of our suppliers treat us from time to time. But now that I'm a little older, I've got into this all this off-roading, this 4x4 off-roading fun. So I bought an old 95 Land Cruiser 4.5 petrol Land Cruiser, and done it all up. I think the thing cost me, I don't know, 150k or whatever it was.
It's pimped up.
And I've spent like 5 times that on every accessory that I probably don't even know how to use properly yet. But that's really my current passion.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Clock.
How do you deal with stress? How do you handle that?
Coping mechanism that I have is I go for a run.
Manage stress by obviously being moments like this. Directly saying I'm going off the clock.
Just even a night out.
I'm listening to my favorite music. I go into one of the studios at the gym and I dance.
Some cocktails and rest and just do nothing.
I ground myself spiritually.
The right amount of stress is good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Off the Clock. Today we have a special guest. I say that all the time, but really, when are our guests never special on this show? Today we have Alex Taplin. He's the man that makes sure all our cars have tires on them. He like, you can argue he's the man responsible for why tires are so expensive in this country. So with any grievances you have, put them in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can get more.
I think you should cut. Cut. This is terrible.
So Alex, welcome to Off the Clock. Something we like doing on Off the Clock is allowing our guests to give their own self-introduction, because no one knows you better than yourself, maybe with the exception of wife, kids, other people like that. But we want you to give an authentic introduction of who Alex is.
Awesome. Thank you. First of all, thanks, Peter. Lovely to be here. I don't normally do media stuff. I must confess right up front. I normally try and stay far away. Otherwise, I get accused of driving up the tire prices. So I'm Alex and married, 2 kids. Boys are big now. Eldest is 28, Dylan. He lives out in Australia now.
Oh.
And my youngest is 27. So a year and 6 months apart. We were very busy in our early part of our careers, you can imagine, and early part of our marriage. So yeah, I've been married for 30 years to Mandy, and we live in Joburg for now.
For now.
For now.
So, I mean, again, welcome to
Thank
Off
you.
the Clock, Alex, and thank you for being here on a Friday afternoon. You voluntarily said you happily married with 2 kids. How did you meet Mandy?
It's such a funny story. So I grew up in a little town of George. Well, it's not so little anymore, but it was little when I grew up there. And Mandy's dad kind of got involved in building a hotel down there, and this wild child, Mandy, came down from Joburg, a fast-paced young lady at the time, and obviously I was quite smitten as this little country bumpkin. This lady knew all the latest vibes, all the best music, all the best places to go and party. So she trapped me early on.
Oh, okay. So you met at a party?
We actually met at work. I was working at the hotel. I started out my early career in the hospitality industry, and she was a client. But I didn't realize she was the owner's daughter at the time. And her and her friend used to really annoy me because they would come in just before kind of close down, and then order cocktails and a whole array of things, and then sign on her dad's account.
And you joined on.
And then eventually down the line, I thought, you know what, I could actually have some fun if I got involved in this. So and as they say, 30 years later, the rest is history.
Oh, wow. I mean, getting into Tiger Wheel Tyre, the business that you've been in it for how long?
Next year will be 28 years.
Wow, you just grew up there.
Pretty much. It was kind of hospitality, then intro into the auto sector. I worked for BMW, a BMW dealership in my hometown of George for a while.
Okay.
And my claim to fame there was sold the most Z3s in the country.
Oh, okay.
And I sold one to Ernie Els. So I feel like that was I don't even think you would ever remember, but
Were you sad when they discontinued the Z3?
I was sad. It was a good money spinner at the time. But
you made a lot of commission from those deals.
It was good. It took me after I joined my current company, Toyota Investments is kind of the holding company, but it took me probably about 15 years to build up the same kind of income as I was making selling cars, to be honest. So we were doing really well in selling cars in those days. Today, I don't know how buoyant the car market is, but in those days, it was good.
So with all that in mind, I mean, what was your first car? Not a Z3, right?
No, it wasn't. It was actually a Ford Telstar. In fact, no, I lie. I had one car prior to that, which was an Alfa Romeo. And I'm not going to do any brand bashing. All I need to say is that I paid the car off over 36 months. My dad signed surety on for the car, and I think I drove it for about 6 months before it eventually just died and collapsed on me. So, yeah, I'm sure it's had nothing to do with the brand.
Okay. That was your first and only Alpha, I'm guessing.
To be honest, it has been my first and only Alpha.
Nothing's pulling you back there again.
No. German reliability, much better.
Okay, just maybe a follow-up question. In this auto industry, I've seen Tiger Wheel and Tyre brand growing, also growing into some adjacent spaces and just covering everything mobility as well. I mean, it must be quite a very, tiresome, very frustrating business for you dealing with some of the challenges that happen? I mean, everybody, Alex helped me a couple of weeks ago. I needed my meg wheel to be done, and it was taking too long than what I was promised. And, he phoned a few people, it was done like this, so I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls, not as friendly as mine, every day, saying, banging the table, where are my wheels, or something goes wrong and all that, which impact on your mood, your lifestyle, and how you feel. What sort of, sleep do you do? Do you sleep well? How many hours do you do a night?
Ooh, not very many, not very many. But it has nothing to do with our customers. That I can promise you. It's when there's no customers that's way more stressful. But no, I'm good. I'm good with 4 hours a day, a night.
So little, Alex. What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. I read a lot.
Okay.
And I work long days, so yeah, you get home 7 o'clock, and you want to spend a bit of time with the wife and the other two great loves of my life, which are my two big Great Danes, and so therefore before you blink it's 11, 12 o'clock, and the pups have me up at 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Okay.
so Saturday it's at a 5:30 is a sleep in.
So I guess it wasn't always like this. I mean, you just in a also empty nest. I mean, all the kind of kids are out, and you're on your own with your wife.
I am. I tell you what, it was actually quite crazy. So, I mean, we always thought it was a good plan to have kids really young. We both agreed didn't want to be this dad that, couldn't kind of take kids racing around the track or go fishing or do whatever with them. I wanted to be an active participant in their lives. And we've had an amazing time, and we're still very, very close. But the downside to having them young is that they spread their wings quite young as well. And I'll never forget when my younger son left to go to Cape Town to study. We were sitting at the dinner table because that's where we always had dinner as a family. It was our ritual, and it was just really quiet. I mean, so we were sitting across each other, eating our dinner, and I said to my wife, we've been sitting here for 20 minutes and we haven't actually said anything to each other. Because, when you have a young family as a young couple, your whole life revolves around the kids. And very little time is actually available for each other. So it's actually weird. We've actually had to spend a fair amount of time trying to figure out do we like each other even anymore. We figured out we do, but thankfully. But yeah, it's crazy.
But I mean, what was your strategy raising your kids? I mean, did you even know what you're doing, or just going with the flow? I mean,
who actually ever really knows what they're doing? Let's be honest. I mean,
I'll tell you.
I'll get their view separately. No, seriously. I mean, Mandy is the youngest of three girls, and both of her sisters had kids. I'm the eldest in a family of three as well. So I was very new to this. Dylan was the first grandchild in our family, but about the sixth in Mandy's family. So so she had two big sisters that were there to help, and what's that saying? Takes a village to raise a child, right? And that was the case for us. But what I can tell you is all those gifts you get as baby books, throw them in the bin the day the day baby arrives home. It's all rubbish. Nothing lines up to what they write in the books. You need a good grandmother, and you need a solid family base.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. What other? I mean, growing up, would you change anything? Like being in this situation now, emptiness. You and your wife had to almost. It's like you have to start dating again to reconnect and all that. First of all, how is that journey like? Because you said, you're sitting at the dinner table for 20 minutes and you're like, we haven't said anything to each other, and it's like my chicken's almost done, and it's like we're just gonna get up and go off. So it's like, how has that journey been? Like, how did you actually figure out that you still like each other? Was it the Was it like when you first met, or was it a completely different ball game? Because now it's so many years later, and obviously you've evolved as people, but at the core, you're still the same people as well.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I mean, I think, kind of jokes aside, I mean, we knew we were soulmates
Yeah.
quite early on. I don't know. You just have it when you click.
Yeah.
Something clicks, right? I mean, you could be dating for 10 years or 5 minutes, and you realize, what, this is the one. So we had dated for about 3 years or so, and sort of built up the courage to ask my father-in-law for my wife's hand in marriage. He's a really scary guy, and so it took me 3 years to kind of build up that courage. And you're right. I mean, so we decided after a year or two of marriage, we want to try for our first little one, and she was always adamant, if I have one, I want to have the next one really quickly.
Yeah.
So there was a time that we were thinking of a third, and we actually had one on the way, but sadly it didn't happen. But now I just have the enviable position of being able to put a lot of pressure on my boys and their respective fiance and girlfriend to say, come on, I'm waiting to be a granddad now. Also don't want to be an old granddad, right? So now I'm going to put the pressure back on them. No, I don't think I would change anything. I think, in the early, until the kids are sort of literally leave the nest, I mean, you're doing everything together, so you kind of have mutual hobbies, mutual things, a lot around school. We were very active. I'll never forget when my boys hit high school. So in primary school, we were those parents that were standing at the braai. We were doing the sausage rolls at the PTA. We were very involved in their school life. We went to high school. Two boys built up the courage to come out to me, and they said, Dad, can you ever chat to Mum? We don't want you involved as much at high school. So, we kind of respected that. We went to all the games, all the sport games and stuff, so raising the kids was a really big part of our lives.
Yeah.
But we both have other interests, and now since they've left home, we kind of focus on that a bit more.
So would you say you're in a way, it's like you've passed that stage of raising your kids now, and like all the attention that you used to just put on your family is basically you don't have to do that anymore because everyone's independent now. So when all of that comes back to yourself, how does it feel? Like you have more time on your hands to do the things that, hey, I didn't know I liked this, but because for the last 25 years I've been raising my kids, this wasn't something I could explore. So now you have a lot more time on your hands. Are you discovering new things about yourself? Like also your wife, your relationship, like, because just by proxy, you have more time now for these things.
Well, honestly speaking, I don't think you ever stop being a dad and a parent, right?
Of course,
I don't think that ever stops. So there's always that involvement. We're going to see Dylan in Australia in September.
Yeah.
So still a lot of what you do is gravitates around your kids' well-being, your kids' interest. I think there's other complications. They now are getting quite serious with their girlfriends, and that adds whole new dynamics, But I have to be careful what I say because my wife will hold me to account if I don't tell the truth. So, my wife will tell you I have no work-life balance. So I'm trying very hard on that and working very hard on that. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, once the kids get to the point where they've moved out and they're doing their own thing, and we still catch up every weekend. We have a catch up thanks to modern technology. You families can be closer if you try. But sure, we have a lot more time on our hands now to do other stuff. Be it whatever our mutual interests are, I guess.
I hear you. I just wonder, okay, why would your wife say you have no work-life balance? Are you just working the entire time, even Saturdays? So...
Babe, I'm sorry. If you ever watch this, I'm sorry. No. Luckily, stopped the weekend work a couple of years back, and I'm very focused on what we do. It's certainly I I wouldn't have been with the company for 28 years if I wasn't having fun.
Yeah.
It's a very entrepreneurial, it's a big corporate business, but very entrepreneurial. And so we've got so many great projects, so many different things that we're busy with that I'm never bored for 1 second, and I kind of have to get dragged away from what I'm doing to kind of make the pilgrimage home. But when I am home, I used to do a lot of work from home as well, and I've kind of tried to stop that. And I think COVID was kind of that aha moment. When I think all of us sort of had that thought, shit, man, we're going to lose 25 years of our hard work and investment. Lots of businesses, I'm sure, were thinking that way, and unfortunately, many did get lost. But absolutely no. I think very focused on my business life, but now carving out more time for personal life. My wife actually said to me last week, you do realize that this is the most amount of leave you've ever taken in 1 year, and I think it's 12 days so far. So I'm feeling like I'm getting better.
Okay, at least there's progress.
There's progress. There's some progress.
At least.
So, 12 days. What do you do with the rest of the leave days, Alex? This country allow you minimum of 21, but if you've been with the company so long, I'm sure you qualify for 25.
No, our company is very good, right? They're very good. I guess we get about
Just
30. They just
law,
accumulate.
yeah.
They just accumulate.
But
I've got some special trips that we're planning. One to see my son in Australia. I'm doing some space banking.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's really important for people's mental health to be able to clock off. It's one of the reasons I was interested to come and have a chat. Kind of what happens to people off the clock.
Yeah, that's what we've seen, the trend that we've seen, like taking off like this, with the whole wellness story, that a lot of people try very hard, very deliberate about drawing the line to say, look, I'm gonna not work, spend time with children, friends, on hobbies, or with grandchildren that you're still aspiring to get. Don't worry, they're coming. But what I actually wanted to know from you, just as a hobby, because being in a car industry or automobile industry, any favorites there, any hobbies in that industry? I'll tell you a story about him because that's kind of connected. We've been looking forward to talking to you.
Okay, good. Yeah, look, I'm very active, so I like outdoor stuff. I do a bit of running, none of it competitively, just for my own sanity. And for sure, as you would imagine, someone in the auto industry, there's got to be something that kind of attracts you. So when I was younger, I used to really enjoy all the track days. Had some awesome experiences, with going to many Grand Prix. I'm a big Grand Prix fan.
Okay.
World Rally Championships a couple of times. So I've been spoilt in that way.
Because in the space, I guess,
because we're in that space, and some of our suppliers treat us from time to time. But now that I'm a little older, I've got into this all this off-roading, this 4x4 off-roading fun. So I bought an old 95 Land Cruiser 4.5 petrol Land Cruiser, and done it all up. I think the thing cost me, I don't know, 150K or whatever it was.
It's pimped up.
And I've spent like 5 times that on every accessory that I probably don't even know how to use properly yet. But that's really my current passion. Is getting out into the open, enjoying wildlife. We have such a beautiful country. It's a sin not to enjoy it.
You camp as well?
I do camp. I'm working on Mandy on that. Her version of camping is a chalet. But I'm parking the car next door to the chalet now, so I feel like we're getting closer.
So the 4x4 thing, is Toyota the best 4x4? In terms of off-roading, or it's just horses for horses, or?
Yeah, I suppose I have to be careful what I say there as well. So horses for courses for sure, but there's no secret that Toyota in that space is consistently the best loved brand. Ford is becoming more and more popular with their Rangers in SA, but
Land
Toyota,
Rover.
Land Rover, I'm not sure real off-roaders actually consider that, not the newer ones anyway. The old
Yeah.
Defender is still much loved and
Yeah.
appreciated as long as you have free access to oil for top-ups, regular top-ups. But yeah, I think by far and away the Toyotas leads that space.
Okay, and the German guys getting into the space, they faking it till they're making it.
Well, they do some nice, there's nice, a couple of nice G-Wagons, but I feel like those are more sort of scent and pavement hoppers, right?
Yeah, that's for the concrete jungle.
Exactly. You don't want to be taking that stuff through the bush. But no, I think the Germans should stick to what they do and let
Autobahn, the fast and
Fast and the
stable.
Furious do that stuff, and let the real off-road vehicles go and play in the mountains.
Okay. So you going to Australia September? Some of the best destination that you've been to. I mean, if I think about car racing, there's Singapore, Abu Dhabi, Spain, probably Mexico, and what's the country next to Prague?
Hungary?
Hungary, yeah.
That was a guess.
Yeah.
There's a few, I think, but that was my guess.
You've been to all of them?
I haven't been to Grand Prix in all of them. I've been to, I'm trying to think, Spain for sure, Abu Dhabi a couple of times, Monaco.
Monaco, yeah, that's one
Beautiful place, really boring Grand Prix though, to be honest. I've been to the Australian Grand Prix.
Boring.
No, that was good. That was
Okay,
good.
alright.
That was good. I love Australia. Australia is like, I don't know, in many ways it's like South Africa.
Similar, yeah, in the
A
south.
lot of
yeah.
outdoor living. People like their buckies or the utes as they call them there. But yeah, I've been very spoilt in this industry. I've been to many countries. Russia, many, Italy many times, France many times, Japan's amazing. Yeah, I spent a lot of time, and in fact, funnily enough, that's one of our hobbies that my wife and I are chasing, because we've been so lucky to go and do so much, to see so much of the world, that actually we haven't done enough of our own country.
What's your own country?
South Africa.
Oh, you mean kind of seeing other places other than Joburg and George?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, for our 15th wedding anniversary, we did a 6,500 kilometer trip around South Africa, which is mostly uncharted. We only planned about, I think, 3 or 4 nights that we were going to sleep over. The rest we threw a tent in the back, and we said we will find kind of Airbnbs or B&Bs along the way. That was an amazing trip. That's got to be one of the trips of our lifetime. That was great.
Okay. Which side did you go? More south or north?
No, we went up kind of Kuruman, the Kuruman Eye. It's a bit more than it's cracked up to be honest. It's just a puddle of water. But the folks that we met in the little towns like Winton, and we went all the way right up through the northern province, round and then down the west coast, through to Cape Town and then back to Joburg. So 6,500 k's in all, but amazing. Just we have so many friendly people in great little towns, and certainly I would encourage everyone, go and see your own country before you
go out.
Spend dollars and euros, right? It's quite expensive out there.
Yeah,
true. Would you do it again?
What's that?
The trip.
The big trip?
Yeah.
I would actually. In fact, last month, my wife has been wanting, and again, this is kind of where I want some husband points, but I was nearing kind of excommunication, because when my wife was 40, I'm not going to tell you how old she is now, but she's not 40 anymore. She wanted to go and do this. She's a big game and safari and bird watching and animal lover, and she had this idea in her head. She wanted to start at the top of the Kruger Park and work her way down over sort of she figured out it would take sort of 2 weeks to do it.
Okay.
And so we did that
The side
last
of
month.
Punta Maria,
Yeah.
and down to Nelspruit.
Yeah, that's right. We started at Pafuri, kind of entered just past Louis Tricard, and then sort of wiggled our way down, spent sort of a night at most of the camps. It was amazing. It was an amazing trip. I was really quite stressed about spending 1,000 kilometers with my wife in a car doing between 30 and 50 kilometers an hour for 2 weeks. I'm not going to lie. I was quite stressed about it. But actually, it was really nice. It was really nice, and we connected at a level, beyond those soundbite snippets that you have in an evening when you get home, right? So actually spending some good quality time. It was amazing. It was amazing.
So how would you rank this trip with the 6,000 kilometer trip?
It was a different experience, I guess. Look, on the 6,500 kilometer one, we got into quite a pickle one day, which is a story for another time. But the park one is lovely because it was something my wife really wanted to do, and I'd kind of promised it to her. And for about 10 years, now you can work out how old she is. But for about 10 years, we just never got around to doing it. Just kind of other things happened. So it was nice to be able to kind of say, right, done that now. But I would definitely want to spend more time, sort of when I retire, exploring more and more of South Africa.
Okay.
And the rest of Southern Africa, our neighbors. And
so I wanted to say, do you see yourself going out of South Africa
for
and
sure.
venturing? So
For sure.
what would you say is the first destination then?
So I've been to quite a few, because in our business we have a few stores in Namibia, Zimbabwe, etc. So I'm there quite often. But I would love to do sort of the whole east coast of Africa.
Yeah.
I've been to Nigeria a couple of times. Very exciting place. I always say it's like Joburg on steroids. Everyone's there, super aggressive, super busy, super crazy. But a really cool place. But no, I think East Coast. I mean, of Africa, I'd like to do that first. And if I can afford the petrol on the Land Cruiser on the way back, I'll do the West Coast on the way back.
I mean, you have the tires, the petrol must.
It
shouldn't be a problem.
This Land Cruiser, you need to take out a mortgage every time you fill up the tank. So
it's a guzzler.
It's a guzzler.
So I mean, what were you doing in Nigeria? Nobody goes for holiday in Nigeria. Well,
No, it was certainly business. It was definitely not not for pleasure, not for pleasure. And I haven't booked a pleasure cruise there since being there for business. So
Your thoughts about Nigeria? I mean, apart from being Joburg on steroids.
Do you know what? It's a very vibrant place, man. I mean, people are hustling there, hustling. I mean, it kind of struck me. You never see a beggar on the road ever, because if you're going to stand on the side of the road and beg, you're going to die there. No one's going to help you at all. So it's very much a dog-eat-dog world for sure. Lots of smart people. Education's quite important there. And there's a lot of people. So everyone's hustling to do better. Really exciting street nightlife, out on the streets. Luckily, we went with one of our colleagues who spent time in Ghana and Nigeria often. So he kind of showed us the ropes. But my wife was like, no, you can't go wandering on the streets in Lagos. Are you crazy? But we did, and it was great. We just kind of wandered down from the hotel, ate street food. Can't remember everything that we ate, but it was all pretty good. But it was just this like weird dichotomy of life. I mean, one moment we were driving in this car cruising along through the streets of Lagos, and I mean the traffic is insane. The next thing, I just see this taxi pull past me, and behind the taxi are three young gents, probably between the ages of 18 and 22, but they're on inline rollerblades. And they've decided that they're kind of hooking on the back of the car, and they're sort of weaving through traffic. And as the car picks up speed, they like let go and grab onto another car. And when I tell you, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've been to Nigeria many times.
It's nuts. I thought these guys are going to die right in front of us for sure. But they didn't.
Not too many deaths. The thing that I observed there is because of that traffic, and I've seen that in Kenya, East Africa as well, and even in Cairo, Egypt, Alexandria. The small dents on the car, insurance doesn't get involved because you just rub each other on the
it's a
way.
friendly
Like,
nudge. Friendly
you
nudge.
don't.
Friendly
It's
nudge.
just a lot of cars that have got bumps, and it's okay. That's part of the deal. I mean, the observation I think that you made is having also traveled around the world, and maybe I mean you can, and I've been pondering and thinking about this is maybe homeless hobos are also generated by the culture of the country because in this country is quite prevalent. Many states in the US you find homeless people and all that. But in tougher economies around the world, you don't see a lot of hobos on the street because they know it's you can't really survive. At the same time, I've been to Moscow and St. Petersburg in the middle of winter when it's like -30. You find the big business of hobos who are on the street because they change them. If it's getting too cold after 30 minutes, they bring a fresh one. It's like a business. I mean,
The
I don't
working
know.
shifts.
I don't know if you ever thought about it because it's probably a factor of the system of the country, how it is. I mean, because where it's really tougher and rougher like Nigeria, you don't see anybody asking for money. They make the money by straight ways, wrong ways, some ways.
Look, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, it's one's got to be careful if you're commenting on the subject of poverty, but there's poverty everywhere, right? Some more than others. But what I did have seen, I mean, Zimbabwe is the same actually. I mean, you don't see people begging on the streets in Zimbabwe,
But it's tougher than anywhere in the world.
and it's like 90% unemployment,
Yeah.
right? Those are for the people that are there, but they're doing something and they're eating something every day. But look, I mean, I think. I mean, I was born in the UK. My grandparents lived in the UK. My dad kind of came across to SA when I was 3 or 4 years old. So
Yeah.
we consider ourselves, of Africa descent. But there is that danger of becoming sort of nanny states where the social support infrastructure is so good that it's oftentimes
Don't
more
have to do anything.
viable to kind of sit at your bum and home and not really, and kind of rely on the state. I do have some of that worry for South Africa, to be honest. I mean, there's certainly a lot of our people that desperately need support. But when you build a dependency for support on the state, it's a dangerous road. But yeah, you're right. I mean, in countries where there are no options for that kind of state support, people make a plan, and human nature always amazes me. When the times are tough and you have to make a plan, you will make a plan. Sometimes making a plan tends into the criminality side of things, which is not so great. But certainly, I think the human endeavor and the human spirit, if channeled in the right way, you can kind of overcome most obstacles.
Yeah, let's move on back to home, Tiger Wheel Tyre.
Yes.
I said to him that I, shouldn't forget some of the questions that I need to ask you, which because I'm not coming from the industry, I don't understand them, and maybe you'll share some light on them. Is the tire companies that sells tires? For somebody like me watching from outside, it feels like it's an arrangement. Like okay, this model of X6 is gonna come up with Bridgestone or Dunlop this much, and maybe if you can't find Dunlop, Pirelli Zero, whatever. How does that world works? Because I've had a cars and we said, look, you can only fit this tire or this tire. That's it. If you do, it messes up with your insurance or guarantee, warranty. How does that work? I mean, you probably dream sleeps, this stuff. You see it all the time. You serve the market with.
How long is this show? How long is the show? I can have you bored here till Sunday.
We can extend it for you.
So, look, I mean, we've always been proudly multi-branded because we believe that customers need choice, and choice is important because it's not always about the tire that's on the vehicle as original equipment. So kind of what it's made with and they stick on is called OEM. But there are very different use cases, right? And use cases are important, and which is why we're multi-branded. So we've never been one of those sort of setups that kind of drives a particular brand. Our ambition is to provide our clients with choice because you have to match the client's need status with the appropriate product. Otherwise, you have a mismatch. So kind of your original question was around OEM stuff. So car manufacturers and tire manufacturers and parts and battery manufacturers, they work hand in hand very closely. They invest heavily in R&D together. If you want to supply a product to the BMW lineup, you are held to the highest quality standards and accounts. I mean, the accreditation status you need to supply into that space is crazy. And it's because BMW wants to deliver on their promise of sheer driving pleasure. And so for them, they design the car, the suspension, and every braking component, including the tires, to match that aspiration.
The pleasure.
Exactly. So if it's Porsche, it's a very different setup. They are only worried about performance under the top end speeds that car can reach. Now, that means you need a different tire. You need different ingredients, you need different compounding. And I always used to joke with people and say, you know what, if you actually understand what goes into a tire, you wouldn't actually put it on your car. You'd stick it up on the mantelpiece like a piece of artwork. Because, your average M5 tire has got over 300 different ingredients in it. And it's a combination of materials that should actually never go together. I mean, steel and rubber together. How do you put them together? They don't stick together. They don't bond. But through very clever systems over many, many years, they've sort of made that happen. I mean, the G forces that happen to a tire when you're just doing 30 k's an hour. You do 210, 240 kilometers an hour on a track. Just in case anyone was wondering whether or not I was doing that on a public road, but no. So that's how they kind of match it up. So some manufacturers and some vehicles will specify particular vehicles for their tires for their vehicles. So a BMW Mercedes will have like an MO tire, an Audi will have an AO, a Volvo is a VO, Porsche is an NO, and so on. And so those are kind of your top end marks. Right? So when performance, high performance and high speed is important, those tire manufacturers are very specific. If you're buying a Polo, and no disrespect to Polo, probably number 1 or 2 car sales in this country, top sellers in this country, it's less important because their design is around comfort. Unless you're buying the GTI versions, but if it's your standard kind of run of the mill, it's easier to manage, and so therefore they would be less discerning on what goes on the vehicles. But to be honest, pretty much all tire manufacturers make losses selling to the OEMs. They only make margin when they sell it to retailers and directly to you and I. So they have to earn their right to be on that car. They invest billions in R&D, but they only actually make their return when it goes into full production and the replacement market. It gets quite complicated. I mean, in South Africa, if I had to ask you to name me all the tire brands you'll probably be able to name me 6 or 7. Would be my guess. The average is 6 or 7. There are 450 different tire brands in South Africa.
That's a lot.
So give it a go.
So I know Bridgestone, Goodyear, Pirelli, Michelin, Dunlop. Yeah, I think that's all I know.
Okay, that's not bad.
Okay.
You want to have a go? You can't say the same ones though.
No, but I mean, I know there's Yokohama, Tokohama, and
Yes,
Yahichi,
Yokohama.
and whole lot of
Who flung dungs and all sorts of
all
things.
the other ones that are, I'm sure they do, as good the work that is supposed to do, especially on the lower end of the cars. But you're talking about fast sports cars type on the road. But I mean, your friend Marcus once told me, and I was complaining about Michelin and Pirelli prices. It's like, this is too expensive, 8 grand a tire, it's too much. And he said to me, I think it was kind of reverse psychology. Think about it, Peter. These are the four objects that are connecting you to the earth. When you're driving, nothing else. When you put on your foot down, those are, that connection needs to be really good. It's like, okay, yeah.
But they're saying where the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah,
No, he's
when
100% right. And Marcus was from Michelin, right? So
Yeah.
all the brands you mentioned
Yeah.
are all tier one brands.
Tier 1, okay.
So I kind of I'd roughly categorize them into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 tires are all the brands you mentioned that invest billions in R&D, typically are on all the top vehicle OEMs. And they've earned that right to be at the table because they have done exactly that, and they deliver what they say they're going to deliver.
Yeah.
Tier 2 tires are typically made by those same manufacturers, but they're manufactured at a cheaper price point. So, for example, Continental makes General, Goodyear makes Sava, Michelin makes BF Goodrich, and many other brands. Available elsewhere in the world, etc. So all of them have a tier 2 brand, and the easiest way I try and explain it is the latest and greatest is in the tier 1 space.
Yeah.
The value for money is in the tier 2 space. So it's still made by the tier 1 manufacturers predominantly, but it's older technology. They're using older molds, so you're getting the old Nike Air versus the new one. It's kind of the similar thing.
Yeah.
And then tier 3 is what I call the cheap and cheerful.
Cheap and cheerful.
It's old technology. The guys cut ingredients out. They will remove lots of natural rubber, which is one of the most expensive parts of a tire, and replace it with synthetic materials. So you have to be really careful what you buy, which is why we always recommend come and talk to the professionals. We'll help you.
Okay, so obviously tires all come in different shapes and sizes and for different purposes. So for the tires for let's say your 18-wheeler trucks, your construction types of vehicles, where that's a whole different market now, right? And how does the whole R&D and all that, do they put the same amount of effort and research and development into those types of tires as well as they do with the performance cars?
In fact, probably more so.
Yeah.
Because if you're making a polo tire, it has a very typical use case.
Yeah.
Right? It can normally fit multiple different vehicles that same size, and it's typically on road.
Yeah.
Not more than 120, 130 k's an hour, right? When you start talking about tires that are applicable for aeroplanes and dump trucks on mines, they actually work out the cost of those tires in hours.
In hours.
Hours. So if you have a truck on an open cast mine, that thing, if it's running full speed, is making thousands of dollars per load, right? So for that truck to stand for even half an hour, it's costing you very computable losses while it's going. So, I mean, there are tires that Marcus would tell you about in the Michelin in the mining space. I mean, these things are like R1 million a tire.
Oh wow!
And they're designed for very specific uses. Truck tires are the same. I mean, they have to be retreaded, and you can, but you still get the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 structure even in those applications.
Yeah.
But you'll find big organized mines. like Anglo Gold, etc., they'll have 20, 30-year contracts with the tire manufacturer. And they will work alongside them to build the most efficient product for them. So the same kind of R&D goes into it.
And it's still the same tier one brands you
And
mentioned.
it's still the same tier one brands.
I was quite shocked when Marcus told me that that actually Michelin's business is in the mining. They make more money in this earth moving equipment tires than the stuff that you see on highways and all that. Like, you know.
Yeah, they do for sure.
But it makes sense because you would think like it's more common to see like that 16-wheeler truck than it would be to see like a Ferrari, a Porsche, Lamborghini type thing that has those specialized tires. So
yeah, more rubber, more volume.
Exactly.
I mean, the thing is kind of like if you're a cameraman, right, and like some of the folk in the room here today that you can't see, but you understand the technology about the equipment that you're using because you need it for your living.
Yeah.
Miners understand this. Where it becomes problematic is that when it's you and I and the general public and retailers out there, the likes of ourselves and others, do a poor job in educating the public as to say why you should spend that extra little bit of money to get the right product for your vehicle, because it's actually bizarre. You know, people will spend millions on a mining tire portfolio because they know that gives them the best return.
Yeah.
Yet when we put it in our car with our families in the back, we're happy to make compromises. And it's bizarre to me why you would do that. You know, rather cut down on it going out once a week and put something decent on your car. Yeah. So there's definitely choice in each one of those tiers, and there's always something to suit most people's budget. But you know, you'd never catch me putting a cheap Chinese tire on my car. All respect to the Chinese.
Okay, go first. I'll follow up
because you mentioned the planes, the tires on the planes. Those are very specific, and I don't want, like, not all planes are the same because planes come in different sizes and all that. How does that work? Especially because you would think planes are. It's more of a monolith in terms of like plane tires because you'd think they're all just the same and but obviously they're not. Like, so how is the industry on like plane tires? Like,
look, I'll have to plead ignorance here. I mean, I do know a few interesting facts about airplane tires, but it's not really our game, so I haven't really made it too much of a study. But I will tell you this, which is something that I found out by accident, which I thought was a bit scary, is that you know, they retread airplane tires up to 7 times.
7 times.
So you can land, you're landing on that great big A380. Good chances those tires have been retreaded.
Oh wow!
But I don't know. I was very worried about that.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's fine.
But I mean that is heavy, right? I mean, A380 is a monster. So those tires needs to be the best you can get when it hits the ground, the tarmac. I'm sure they, you know.
No, the technology is amazing.
Bit, you know?
Well, I mean, you got to understand, they come in, they're ice cold, right? So they're coming in at like temperatures of -20, depending where you're landing. In Russia, in the middle of winter, those tires are coming in really cold. And then they go from -20 to 200 degrees positive the moment they hit that tarmac with all the weight on it. So very special construction. I don't know enough about them to speak intelligently on the subject, but it's fascinating.
Let's go back to where you're comfortable. Run flat tires.
Yes.
I swear by them. I prefer them. Is it a waste of money, or do you have an opinion on them? I mean, the minute that run flat tires came, I was like, voila, there you are. At least you get a
problem solved.
Yeah, you got a problem. Your tire is gone. At least you can drive home or to a place of safety. You don't have to you finished, you know.
I think so. I do have some strong feelings about run flat tires. Okay. I think the theory is a good one, but I think in practice, you know, in Europe it works because you're never more than, I don't know, a couple of 100 meters from your closest tire store or local garage or whatever. In South Africa and in Africa in general, we travel long distances, right?
Okay.
So it can be fine. You can have a Porsche Cayenne. In fact, that's a terrible example. A BMW X6 with run flat tires on, right? And you're traveling between Johannesburg and twee buffels met een koel mors doodgeskietfontein, somewhere around there, right? And the thing fails you. So yes, in theory, you can have a puncture and drive on that tire for a period of time. Normally,
200 case they say.
Well, it's different by tire and by manufacturer and by vehicle. So
nobody tells you that.
That's my point. Yeah. Is that car dealership, to be fair to the salesman, are not technically skilled enough to understand this and explain this to customers. So I'm a bit old school like that. I'm a bit like my dad. I like to have a spare tire in the boot of my car. And unfortunately, for me, they've done one thing without the other. So the main reason they came up with the idea of run flat tires was A, for convenience in and about Europe. But then they also did it to lower the unsprung mass of the vehicle. So they took out the spare tire, which weighs 20, 30 kilos, depending on the size of the tire, out of the vehicle to save fuel and to save manufacturing costs, right? And they replaced that with run flat tires, but they never put the spare back. So there are, as you may have, depending on the car you have some with zero spare, you have some with these little tiny Mari biscuit spares, and then you have cars with a full spare. So it's actually weird. It's coming full cycle. So a lot of the German marques that started this innovation, I think it actually started with BMW and Mercedes, they're actually going full circle now, where you're starting to find spare tires in the boot of your car because their customers have kicked back and said, okay, so now I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. What do I do? Call BMW, call out, or Mercedes, on the road or whatever these programs called, and it takes 6-7 hours to get help. Now in South Africa, you don't want to be alongside the road, or anywhere actually, for 6-7 hours alongside the road in the dark, right? So I think it has its place for sure. I would just appeal to anyone who listens and who cares, that to stick a spare in the back, and then we'll all feel much more comfortable. Look, it's also a harder ride, much harder ride, because the sidewall of the tire is that much thicker. I mean, essentially, it's not magic. All they're doing is they're putting a really hard sidewall on the tire, and when it has a puncture, it allows the weight of the vehicle to be carried on the sidewall of the tire.
Yeah, until it cannot carried anymore.
Yeah, and they're considerably more expensive, so because they're heavier, there's a lot more material in them.
Is that why with some cars? Because I know, like with BMWs, like once you start let's say I wanted an M4, I can't get an M4 with run flat tires because
it's heavy.
It's a weight thing.
100%, and high performance vehicles, right? So the last thing you want is heat build up in the sidewall of a tire.
Yeah.
But cars with run flat tires have got very thick sidewalls, so you typically have a lot of heat build up in the tire and extra wear. I always say heat and air combination is the tire's worst enemy, best friend or worst enemy.
Yeah.
So if your tire gets too hot, it wears faster.
Yeah.
So you want to keep your tires
cool.
And
if it's too cold, it doesn't work as well.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. At least.
So, I mean, we're done with tires.
Thank goodness it's Friday afternoon.
Let's talk about the mag wheels. Because
let's talk about mag wheels.
Yeah, just take your notch up. Because I mean, we reconnected recently because I hit a pothole and my mag wheel was damaged beyond kind of Tiger Wheel Tyre is so good that I think most of your branches can help you a little bit with the mag wheel. I saw you got a PG class in, kind of all-in-one, which is like one stop and it helps. But the problem that I've seen is got a very old Legend. I call it a Legend 650 Cabriolet. It's 15 years old. I love the car. I got excited. I thought it needs a bit of refurbishment, and I went into Monte Carlo, Wales, in Edenvale. I buy a replica original M wheels, and I put them in. I took a picture. It was looking beautiful. Uh, I sold my Macs there, and the guy bought them very cheap, and I didn't know what I was doing. I regret it. And then later, that replica wheels, you hit a pothole, it cracks, and then start leaking air, and and yeah, my story never ended. So you wanna enlighten us
About wheels, about the troubles and tribulations of wheels.
I mean, there's such a big difference between the originals and the replica, and that's why the guy said, "Look, don't play around. Your wheel is probably 25,000, one wheel, but the replica, all of them are 25,000, but they crack."
So, look, I mean, I think so. Our history and heritage is wheel manufacture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, before we got into retail, we did wheel manufacturing. In fact, our founder, Eddie Kaizen, the late Eddie Kaizen, it's how we earned our name. His brother-in-law kind of got the idea of wheel manufacturing in the US, and he called his company Cheetah Wheels. And when Eddie started it with his brother-in-law Dennis Cohen in South Africa, they called it Tiger Wheels. Exactly. And in the early days, they used to make it was quite a simple process. They would take the steel wheels. So if we kind of reverse back 56 years ago, South Africa was a very different place. Most vehicles had steel wheels and hubcaps. That was kind of what you got. And people wanted choice. So they figured out a way on how to take an aluminium out of casting and to bolt it onto the existing steel wheel, make it look a bit funky. And that's kind of how the business grew. And I mean, we grew the business called Tyre Wheel. In those days, it was a listed business, producing sort of 9 million wheels a year, providing wheels to the likes of Porsche, Volvo, BMW, all of the OEMs. So the first thing I can tell you is that wheel manufacturers do not charge the car manufacturers 22,000 Rand a wheel. So that's the first thing. They make good margins on those wheels, and probably excessive margin, I would argue. So that birthed a whole new industry called aftermarket wheels, and that's where the brand, for example, TSW comes from, Tiger Sport Wheels, which is still an exclusive brand that we retail today. So our factories used to make those wheels. So we know a lot about wheel manufacturing, and wheel manufacturing. There are different processes on how to make a wheel. You can do forged wheels, you can do single block aluminium or billet wheels, and you have low gravity cast mold wheels, where and that's how most wheels are made. They just kind of take ingots, mix it with a few other components, stick it in a mold, and it's gravity fed. And so your BMW would typically have a gravity-fed wheel. Some of the M4s are using forged wheels for the lightness of the wheel. Today, a Toyota Corolla Cross is on an 18-inch wheel, right? So the wheels got bigger, the rubbers narrowed, the profile of the wheels narrowed. So you can imagine the sidewall profile of a tire is your cushion against things on the road, right?
Yeah.
So now you're reducing that cushion to get narrower and narrower, which is why you get a harder and harder ride.
Yeah.
And then the next biggest problem with wheels is road surface, potholes, pavements, those kind of things, which I hope the mayor of Joburg's listening, is terrible in Joburg. And wheels are being prematurely damaged. So at Toyota Investments, we have different verticals of our business. We have import export, we have wheel repair and refurbishment, we have retail, and then we have waste to profit. So in the wheel repair vertical, we spotted an opportunity to invest in a company. The founder at the time had got this technology from the US. We understood a lot about wheels, and I was always really nervous. We never used to do wheel repairs in our stores at all. We refused point blank to do it because we understand what goes into making a wheel. The reason we bought into this business at the time was because they were doing a really good job. It was called Wheel Collision, and they also X-rayed every wheel before and after the repair process.
Okay.
And I mean, realistically, there's lots of fly-by-nighters out there at the moment. It's heavily under-regulated, in my opinion. So we need to do a lot there because it's a very safety-critical component to any vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Hence the wheel collision business was born. So we have 4 big hubs around South Africa. We're building another 2 soon. And then we have kind of 90 micro sites, because wheel damage is not the same. If you have a really bad whack on the road, it can be repaired, depending on where on the wheel the damage occurs.
Yeah.
And our team are trained to recognize quite quickly what's repairable, what's not. If it's not, they'll tell you, and you'd have to go and buy a new wheel. But it's the right thing to do. But if it is repairable, then it costs you a fraction, as you pointed out and saw yourself, of what a brand new wheel would cost. It's a very good business, and we do quite a lot of wheels a month. I think we do about 13 to 15,000 wheels a month currently, and it's growing.
That's a lot of
it's a lot.
It's a lot of Tom you're making there. Just one more question. Why the replica wheels crack and the originals don't, and the price vary? I remember I had one of my previous company I used to work for, one of my engineer was given to drive an old Volvo station wagon and was staying in a very unsafe place in, I think, Sunnyside, a flat or something. He parked.
Is this in Pretoria?
In Pretoria, yes. And then he woke up, the car was sitting on bricks. And it was a rented company car, was supposed to take it back. And the rental company said, look, you can bring it back, but with original wheels. We don't take already fitted, obviously, replica wheels to go. So we're not interested in this wheels. We want original. They're gone. But the question is, and as we close, the question is, why are the replica wheels of such a poor quality? I know they're not coming from you, but in general.
It's a great question, South African consumers and all consumers should be really mindful of this and do their research on this stuff. Yeah. But as an original equipment vehicle manufacturer would specify a tire, they also specify a wheel, right? So there's minimum quantities and grades of aluminium and material content that they insist upon on the wheel. Mm-hmm. I mean, a wheel gets up to 200-300 degrees Celsius, 400 degrees Celsius, depending on how hard you're driving it. So any skimping in material there it'll make the wheel weaker. So that's really the answer. I mean, you get aftermarket wheels that are as good as the original equipment. TSW is one of those, and we've never compromised on the material. But you get a lot of imports. We don't really manufacture wheels in South Africa anymore, but a lot of the imports, it's like tier 3 cheap and cheerful tires. But unfortunately, the public are not being made aware of what they're buying.
Yeah, I hope the regulatory bodies could be more stringent in that. I visited the Andrea Moores runs Auto Industrial, which manufactures OEM for the cars that are being built locally, and talks to the point that you made earlier that all the knuckles and the parts that they do, steering knuckles and brake pads, whatever, they put them through x-rays to see if the steel doesn't have cracks, because you don't want to snap when you're doing 180 kilometers and then boom, you don't feel anything, So I guess it will come with time, but I think they need to raise the hopes in there. But let's leave it there. You've got one more question?
I got one more question. Regarding the wheels. So we spoke about how tire manufacturers work closely with the vehicle manufacturers in terms of when they're developing cars, they work close hand in hand so that they make tires basically specifically for those cars. Is the same done with the wheels, but to a lesser degree? And it's like, it's because like you said, it's like like the wheels have to have certain components within it so that it doesn't, the integrity of the wheel itself is not compromised. So is it set as an intense process as the one with the tires where they work hand in hand, or is it like within the company itself where, because wheels are also a very aesthetic thing to the car. So obviously the car company itself would have to design their own wheels, and then like when it goes into making them, what is that whole process like?
No, absolutely. It works exactly the same. There's not a single bolt or nut that goes on a decent vehicle that is not really put through very stringent safety controls. I mean, it still surprises me that sometimes there are product recalls because clearly something went wrong in the supply chain process, right? So I can't say it never happens. But for sure, wheel manufacturing, I can remember from the days that we supplied the OEMs. We don't do that business anymore, but you had to X-ray every wheel. You had to make sure that there was no porosity, and if one wheel something was picked up, that entire batch was scrapped. Everything done.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, and unfortunately, with a lot of aftermarket brands, and not all of them, to be fair. I mean, there's very respectable aftermarket brands, BBS, TSW, Rotary Forge, Racing Hot. A lot of those go through the same process, but there are many that don't. And much like the Tier 3 cheap and cheerful tires, I think irresponsibly so are allowed to come in, and unfortunately people don't know better. And if the retailer is not explaining properly and not telling you the correct options, then you default to price. So and all of us as South Africans know we're all watching our pennies, right? So if somebody's offering you a deal, you think it's a deal, but a deal's not always a deal.
True, because you're compromising.
You're compromising something, right? I mean, it's not like BMW makes their wheels for X price and somebody else can sell it for you 10% of that price. It still costs roughly the same price to make. So they do it by taking out material. So one 17-inch wheel will weigh like 28 kilos or 38 kilos. Some of the imports that I've seen will weigh 5 or 6 kilos.
Oh, wow.
So you can't do that without changing the material of those. So you've got to use magnesium or carbon fiber or something else, but it's still to maintain the rigidity and the tensile strength of that wheel. You can't just say, oh, I'll just take some material out and make it lighter. But that's how they do it.
That's how. Okay.
All right. So, Alex, thanks. As customary, we normally allow our guests to ask us, a few questions at the end. So, consider this as your moment of quizzing us.
Oh dear, right. Hold on, where's my briefcase? I brought a whole bunch of notes. Seriously, great initiative. I've watched a couple of your shows on YouTube. I didn't realize it was such a family affair. You've got your daughter sitting in the background over there. Tell me a bit more. What got you started, and what are you doing? Why are you enjoying it so much and spending time with us on a Friday afternoon to do this?
Yeah, look, the background was started by a relationship that we had, reverse mentorship. He was kind of helping me out how to navigate social digital media space, and I was helping him as usual how to navigate everything else. And there was a time I've been very active on LinkedIn, posting twice a week. I still do, but even writing articles, thought leadership articles. And then he was like, this is workers page, try real social media. And,
this is old school.
Yeah.
Gotta get with the times, Dad.
And then Instagram, TikTok, and all those things. And I said, look, maybe podcast. I said, yeah, podcast. And then I said, I'll only do it if we do it together. And then she actually later joined on because the fun was just too much to watch from outside. She wanted to jump in, and she's in already. So it became a family affair. With regards to why we kind of worked on a thesis paper with a creative director of an advertising company in terms of what is the topic that has got a longevity, as we have seen, we tried to talk to Alex, the man, family, and what you do as opposed to business, how the business is doing and all that. So demystifying, the CEO you as a human being, because I'm sure you've had a situation where people see you at the corridors and they're like 10 left or right immediately, like this
not.
is a big boss and all that, So, but also spotlighting on some very interesting topics of, wellness, family time, longevity. So that's the thing that has kind of inspired us to do this. And we do have a relationship with, I'm a fellow at Gibbs with the business school to bring a lot of all this relevant content as well. So we've interviewed already over 50 leaders like yourselves, and the personal stories are amazing. And no one CEO is the same with the other. Not
sure.
everybody's from George.
Unlucky for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And what are you hoping to achieve with the project?
So
And what's next? What's the next? Have you been thinking about that?
He's probably having other aspirations that are bigger than mine. I'm just finishing a book that I'm writing. In fact, it's probably going to be launching next month on winning in Africa. I've traveled to about 44 countries on the continent, and when you started talking about Nigeria, Kenya, all those places, I get very excited. I thought I'd share some of stories and ideas on how to win on the ground in the continent. So that book is landing next month. So in terms of this,
I'll buy a copy, but only if it's signed, hey?
yeah, I'll sign it and sell it 10.
Do I get a discount if it's multiple?
Yeah,
Hey, volume discount.
do that for all your stuff to read it. We're probably going to do a book out of this experiences and all that. I'm sure you've seen the book called the Diary of the CEO.
Yes.
By Mr. what's his name? Stephen. Yeah.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, Stephen Barnett.
Stephen Barnett, that's right. That's right.
So, what we've seen is this side of the world, how human CEOs are, leaders are, it's not well explored, and sometimes people, if you ask him after seeing all of you, he doesn't want to be a CEO because now he knows it's not that special and glamorous and all that, and he realized that you don't eat roast beef every night and drink whiskey and smoke cigar. It's not that
Not
easy.
every night.
Yeah.
No, that's true though, right? I mean, I think it's a great project. And so you don't want to be a CEO anymore.
I mean, it was never
We need
about
leaders,
being.
man. We need leaders in all our businesses.
No, that's true. That's true. But maybe in my own business, right?
Sure.
Exactly.
CEO of your own business.
Exactly.
I've heard that's way more difficult.
I mean, probably, right? Because you're building something from scratch. You're building the reputation. It all starts and stops with you. So, but I think those people who do it are far more fulfilled because that's their passion, that's their drive, that's what they want to do, right? So I think I lean more on that side of the thing, whereas like the CEO where you work for someone else is like more of a I don't know.
I feel like it's just we're slaves driven to death. Oh, okay, I got you.
In a
There's
way,
times where
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like that.
in a
for
way,
sure.
yeah. So the way I see it, like the upside of being your own.
Just seen me suffer.
No, at this point, I've seen a lot of you suffer, right? So I think
Maybe we're just doing it wrong.
I don't know. I feel like you guys are successful and you have a lot of skin in the game. Like you give a lot of like what this platform does is that it just helps people see the reality of what this is versus like what they actually think, like the whole you drink whiskey every night, caviar, all those things, where they see like the reality of like either it's like I'm always stressed, I don't sleep, I never see my kids, this, that. It's everyone has their own problems, but a lot of the problems they link up, they're almost the same, some of them. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to deal with this? Is this what you want to go through? Because this is basically what the platform is communicating to people who watch it, is that this is the reality of the life that these people live, right? Obviously, they worked hard to get to where they are, because nothing in life comes easy. Success doesn't just drop on your lap. You have to work hard. You have to check all your boxes. You have to do what needs to be done.
You're stressing me out now, man. It's really not that miserable, I promise you.
No, I
Guys
hear
that are that
you.
miserable are doing it wrong.
I hear you. But also with you, I think you've also found you're in the industry where it's like, and it's like, it's what you said either before the interview, like, this is something that it speaks to you. It's like a passion. You strike me as someone who feels like they don't ever feel like they're really working. That's why
exactly.
you work
It doesn't
so
feel
much.
like work to me.
So if I could find a job like that where I feel that exact same way, then probably I'd end up having your mindset about it, because I'd end up feeling so fulfilled in what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
So, and then on the other case, it's just like, the other people, maybe they don't feel like that. They working in whatever industry they're in just because in a way they ended up, life led them to that particular junction, or I don't know, maybe someone's father was like, there needs to be a doctor in the family and you're going to be a doctor. And then that's what their life was. So I think at the end of the day, you, like, from what I've learned, is that you just need to be intentional about what you want to do, and also have a good vision of what's that, not exactly end goal, but that period, that time, or that section of life where you guys find yourselves at, where you can reflect and give advice on your journey. I think I just want to be more intentional in that. When I find myself in that position, I want to be able to give good feedback and say, I don't exactly regret my choices, but I can give feedback on, like, these are the consequences of the choices I made in life. That's obviously, whatever choice you make, it comes with its pros and cons, and you have to live with that. So I just want to be able to say, I'm happy with the choices I made in life.
I love that. I love that.
So we actually just interviewed John Romans Pizza. It's also
Okay.
in YPO.
Amazing business. Amazing business.
So very different.
Did you bring us pizzas? No, you didn't bring any takeaways.
He didn't, to our disappointment.
So, but I mean, his story was more kind of painful than yours. Fighting with his father, taking over, being fired 5 times in 1 week, coming back. So, I mean, again, just spotlighting the fact that it's tough at the top, but we're still humans. We still,
I think it's about setting the tone right from the beginning. We were very blessed. We had 2 entrepreneurs, Keith Rivers and Eddie Kaizen, and they built a business around family.
Yeah.
And it's still very much that way in our business today. It's got, when I started, we have 15 stores. Today we have like 160. And a whole bunch of other complexities in our lives, and we don't get to kind of connect at a real family level to everyone in the business. There was, I don't know, 150 odd people in the business. Today we have nearly 3,000.
Wow.
So I miss those days, I won't lie. It's still my greatest pleasure going out to the stores, and chatting to Bongani and Philip and everybody else that run the stores.
First name, yeah.
Well, Eddie was amazing. When I started with the business, he knew everybody's first name, their wives' names, and the names of their kids. In my mind, that's, as a leader, what I'd love to aspire to. My memory's not good enough to remember all 3,000 people, so I apologize in advance. But I think the point is, if you can build, whether it's your own business or that you need. My brother runs his own business, and the amount of passion, time, effort, heartache, teary nights, sleepless nights that he's had. I've kind of had the same things, right? But just in a corporate and building a larger business. So, and I think we always try and practice the idea that we don't have a hierarchy in our business that looks like a pyramid.
Yeah.
It does, but it's inverted. So my job is to support the people on the other end of that field that are serving face to face with our customers. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I exist, is to provide the strategy and make sure that they have all the tools the training, the equipment, the facilities, the infrastructure to make our customers' experience the best it can be. You know, and I always remind my exec team of that. Like, guys, we don't need an office and a head office, and that if you are not contributing daily to the actual real lives of the people on the front line, whether we get that right all the time, we probably don't, but that's the aspiration. So, I mean, I think you can be as equally excited about the legacy of a big business making a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives as opposed to running a smaller business or SMME. But the actual collective power of SMMEs and smaller businesses, the multiplier effect is magnificent. So, I mean, we absolutely need more of that in this country for sure, but globally too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're saying you've got, what, 160 stores?
Yeah, we've got 160, just 159 stores, including the ones in Africa.
All franchised or owned by the company?
No, we're mostly company owned.
Okay, what, 80-20?
About 80-20 over the two retail brands. So we don't just run Tiger Wheel Tyre, we also own Tyres and More, which is our new baby that we launched a couple of years ago.
You launched that, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
so
that's a low-end product?
No, it's not low end, it's just more full service.
Okay, shocks and batteries and all that.
They do a bit more mechanical type of stuff on the vehicles. And typically it is an older vehicle, simply because, in South Africa, it's quite unique to South Africa, actually, motor plans. If you're buying a car that's 1 to 5 years old or 1 to 7 years old, it'll come out with a motor plan, which includes your servicing, etc.
Yeah.
That's very unique. Doesn't happen anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I've seen South America, older cars, like cars of the 50s.
So as a result, kind of newer cars tend to be higher share of market in a Tiger, whereas cars that need the kind of services that an older car needs,
Tyres and More,
they would typically gravitate to a Tyres and More or one of our competitors, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This has been fun.
Yeah.